In my opinion, the last S5 was Audi doing what they do best. Strong performance, strong quality, practicality, and a healthy dose of German swagger. But when I saw the redesign, I lost some of my enthusiasm. It felt like Audi was just making trendy choices and forgetting about the core audience of this car. After driving it, my outlook has changed. Briefly, if you enjoy fun, detailed car content, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. If we can hit 100,000 subs before 2026, I'll make another special series of your choosing. Thank you. The new A5 and S5 are crucial to Audi. It's not only replacing its predecessor, it's replacing the A4 as well. It's also their first model to use the new PPC platform, which is designed for internal combustion cars. So it should handle and ride a little better. And underneath, it's got a little bit more power and a 7-speed dual clutch instead of the old 8-speed automatic. There's also some new styling and an interior that's been met with, let's just say, some mixed reactions. After all, this used to be super sharp on the outside, and it came with a bunch of satisfying tactile controls, and now we just have a big touch screen and glossy plastics. There's even a silly front passenger entertainment display.
What's up, guys? It's your boy, Bert.
Dude, can you not do that right now?
5.
I'm sick of hearing you complain about the tech because you're scared of progress.
Sponsor, Hair E Bowl.
That's not progress. That is a needless scream. You can watch videos, but only if the whole car has to hear them. You can set the navigation, but not if you're using CarPlay or Android Auto. You can play some decent games, but half of them only work when you're parked. It's a gimmick. Okay, bruh. It is dumb. But maybe you should give the rest of it a shakedown before you put it down. The tech used to complement the interior, and while now it plays a much bigger role in the cabin, this is one of the best executed all-screen layouts that I've used. Most of these capacitive controls are secretly buttons, and there is some added function to it. For instance, if you want to make a quick, precise adjustment to the volume, you can click. But to crank it or quickly turn down that embarrassing song in your playlist, just swipe it. Or better yet, you could use the physical volume dial with a mute button. The new head-up display is highly configurable and well integrated, as is the digital gauge cluster. The center screen is responsive, it has a sharp resolution, the layout is intuitive, and most important HVAC controls are always displayed. I'd still rather have more expensive feeling buttons and dials, but I'm not upset with this. I still think this is pretty easy to use, especially compared to some of the other digital layouts that I've used in the past. If I could suggest 2 small changes for Audi, on lower trims without the passenger screen, the dashboard should have different materials and not shiny emptiness. Additionally, while I think that screen would be more useful in an EV, others might want it. So I think it should be a standalone option. That way you're not forcing every prestige buyer to pay for such a niche feature. The rest of the interior is very Audi. You have supportive, well-shaped seats with firm German cushioning. They do have extendable thigh cushions, which is great for tall people, and at 6'3", I had no issue driving this for 4 hours in one day. Build quality is strong too, with the exception of one dashboard piece that likes to creak. You're gonna have tight panel gaps, solid feeling doors, and good materials with a sturdy construction. I think most people are going to be very pleased with the quality, especially if they like easily smudged piano black. I also think Audi got the details right with a loud and crisp Bang & Olufsen sound system, a muted red interior with authentic looking carbon accents, a standard panoramic sunroof with available electro dimming, a wireless charger that 1, works, and 2, doesn't air fry my phone, and a center console lid that has an adjustable height for optimal elbow positioning. The redesign brought with it a little more rear legroom. It's enough for 6-footers to sit in the front and rear with little issue. The cargo area is more impressive. It's ginormous. It comes standard with a 40-20-40 split, and the seats fold flat to make for a crossover replacing amount of cargo room. As much as this is a departure from the old car, the new A5 cabin retains many of the virtues. On the outside, the S5 isn't as sharp as it was before. The lines have been melted down like they were left in the microwave 10 seconds too long. In person, I'm digging the shape, especially around the rear. I showed this to a few car enthusiasts, and the asymmetrical front end here seemed to be a little underwhelming. I'm still a fan, but let me know what you guys think. Every S5 is going to come with electronic door releases with flush handles, and most will have a 360 view camera that seems overly distorted and choppy. At over $70,000, a loaded S5 better be fast, and it better be luxurious. The turbocharged 3-liter V6 punches harder than the specs suggest. 360 horsepower rooted through a 7-speed dual clutch is not quite enough to make your Hans shake, but it is enough to make this feel effortless. In the right conditions, 0 to 60 will come up in the low 4-second range. And so long as you have the transmission in its S mode, it is responsive. You really don't need to be playing around with the paddles all that much. But if you choose to, it works very well. Because of that dual clutch, it is able to immediately react to your paddle input. And that's one of the only ways that you can make an automatic transmission engaging. You can also try to provide some more drama in between shifts, and you do get some effect. It kind of slams into the next gear. It's not violent or unrefined, but I do think that this gives the car a little bit more character than it had before. Despite a new variable geometry turbo, air-to-water cooling, and other tweaks to the V6, there is a decent amount of turbo lag initially, but once it's spooled, it is a juggernaut through the entire rev range as it rips through gears. And if you're not driving it on the ragged edge, you just throw it into comfort mode, it's not resting on its heels. You can give it a little bit of gas, it'll downshift. Now, sometimes at lower speeds, there can be a little bit of funkiness. Even if you shut off the auto stop start, sometimes there is a slight hesitation there off the line. I don't think the throttle in those low speed situations is as predictable as it was in the 8-speed automatic, but after a week, I got used to it. Surprisingly, in the US, you're not going to have a mild hybrid powertrain. It is just the 3-liter V6. I think this is actually a good thing because there's a little bit less to go wrong, a little bit less to pay for, and it doesn't really improve the gas mileage. Global markets will see that with the mild hybrid. It does not bump the power output. Instead, mild hybrid S5s should see improved response due to the electric torque partially filling in as the turbo builds boost. This 48-volt setup should allow for smoother auto stop start and coasting with the engine on. The most enthralling thing about the S5 is the speed and the confidence that you have when you access it. This uses a more traditional quattro setup. It is a full-time all-wheel drive system, and it packs a rear sport differential, which in Audi terms is simply a rear limited slip. That allows this to put down the power and rotate the car through a corner without a whole lot of pizzazz, but quite a bit of velocity. The steering is going to be numb, but it's precise, it's weighted well. I like how it builds up in heft through a corner. It's a very German experience, but if you've liked how previous Audis have driven in the past, then I think you're really going to like how this one drives. The suspension, as you'd expect, is also very poised, and it comes with optional adaptive damping, something that I would definitely recommend after driving it here today, because you can Put this in the comfort mode, and then it will float over things. It'll make city streets fairly comfortable, but put it in dynamic and it becomes controlled. It's not approaching an RS5 level of flat, and it doesn't really change direction like that either. But at least on regular public roads like how I'm experiencing it here today, I really would not ask for any more. I also want to give a nod to Audi for making drive modes that aren't overwhelming. You get in here and you can select dynamic or comfort or individual. And the fun part is it actually defaults to individual. And when you're configuring that custom mode, there isn't a bajillion different options. You just have a few of the important ones. And then if you happen to want the transmission to be in sport mode, instead of configuring that there in the settings, you can just flick the shifter. If I could change any of the custom options, I would hope for dynamic to display more vital info in the cluster. For me, I've kept the damping in its comfort setting for most of the week because a lot of the roads around me aren't ideal. What I've found is that the S5 is very smooth. It's pretty forgiving. You can definitely send a shock through the cabin with a big pothole. It's certainly not a boat with a Lexus badge, but I think as a grand touring sedan, this finds a really nice balance between fun and forgiveness. The ride continues to be refined up at highway speeds, though I will say there's a little bit more road noise than I think I would like for the money. In my week with the S5, the fuel mileage was reasonable. I averaged 25 mpg with mixed driving, and because this engine is mostly the same as before, I don't have huge concerns with longevity. In some rare instances, early B9 S5s suffered rocker arm failure, but more common issues came from the PCV system, water pump, and thermostat leaks. The 7-speed dual clutch usually holds up well if you keep up with the pricey maintenance, but only time will be able to show how this new PPC platform stands up in the long run. Building a dedicated fanbase is usually the goal with any new car that's released. Once that is achieved, the next big challenge is evolution. How do you build a new car that moves forward without losing sight of what made people fall in love with it in the first place? While the new S5 did see a price bump and it doesn't have the same straightforward charm as the old model, it's still a practical luxury product with bite. It offers maybe a little more performance, it's more comfortable, it sees some updated features, and while it did dip its toes into tech, it's still user-friendly. Moving forward, I hope Audi refines the transmission, reduces road noise, and cuts down on shiny plastic usage, but I think this was a good redesign. The last car was my favorite in the segment, and at the moment, I'd say the same for the new one. Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to hit that like button, smash that subscribe, and decimate that notification bell. I'll catch you in the next one. Today we're talking the top 5 Audi hacks.
Oh my god, I hate that so much. Oh, okay.